Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy. So the barber trims my beard all nice, like an artist. Now, I didn't tell him to do that. I wanted the beard gone. So then I went home and shaved it off completely after I was done. I felt horrible.
The passion.
Rafael Devers is the biggest contract in franchise history. He needs to be a leader for this Red Sox team.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
Are the Patriots close to playoff contention? Yes. Are they close to Super Bowl contention? Hell no.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show back at it on a Monday here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show today, all 90 minutes. We go up until 7 o'clock, then Jazz with George Thomas. A guestless show today, just you and me. For all 90 minutes until 7 o'clock. We'll put a bow on both the UVM men and women's basketball seasons, both teams beaten in the NCAA tournament. We talked a lot about the men on Friday, but we got some questions for the men moving forward. We've also got notes on the Patriots and the Red Sox. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. Your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can watch the show on Facebook Live and my Twitter account as well. And we're always brought to you by Fecto Homes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center. Locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. On the men's side of things, the Sweet 16 is set, and here I am on a Monday, and I'm disappointed. Seriously, I am disappointed today. And I'm disappointed because I look at this tournament, and I see what's happened in this tournament, and I see what's happened over the last few years. I see the massive upsets, right? UMBC beating a 1 seed. Fairleigh Dickinson beating a 1 seed. St. Peter's in the Elite Eight. Princeton this year into the Sweet 16. I see all of that. And yes, that's great because it's what makes the tournament so fun. The madness is what we love. But I'm also disappointed because I want UVM to be one of those teams that we're talking about. And instead, we are not. We're here today continuing the conversation about UVM being beaten in the tournament again, and this time being beaten fairly easily in the second half against Marquette and losing by 17. I'm disappointed that we're not talking about UVM being one of those teams, and frankly, I am jealous. I know that Vermont is a better program than UMBC, but UMBC gets the moment. I know that Vermont is a better program than Fairleigh Dickinson, who didn't even win its own conference tournament. And yet they get the moment while Vermont is at home. And I know that Vermont routinely beats the Ivy League. And here we are with an Ivy League school into the Sweet 16 in Princeton. This frustrates the hell out of me. And it makes me sad. Because I want to be talking about a Catamount program that gets a moment like that represents the America East that way and not UMBC. I want to talk about a Catamount program that wins those kind of games, and it just hasn't happened. And that's frustrating to me. I know that in the 7 years I've been here, UVM has had some really good teams, and they've drawn some really hard matchups, and they've had some tough seedings, and I get that luck of the draw is part of this as well, but we're talking about Princeton being the Cinderella story today. We're not talking about UVM, and I wish we were. My question to you, 802-585-3026. What does UVM need to do in order to become one of those teams, to become one of those stories? If you are a Catamount fan, what do you need in order to get a signature win like I just outlined all those other schools getting? And look, we've talked a lot about the formula for an upset. I'm not really talking about that. I'm not talking about what needs to be done one time in order for you to win one game. I'm talking about macro level stuff. What do you need to do as a program? How does the program need to be built in order to give itself the best chance of pulling an upset like that? For me, UVM needs to be all in on recruiting shooting. And I know that sounds obvious. Oh, yeah, basketball team needs to be good at shooting. Ha ha, Brady. No, UVM needs to be all in on recruiting shooting. Now, I'd love to have a bunch of high flyers. I'd love to have a big front court that could dominate down low. All that stuff would be nice, and all that stuff would help you win the America East Conference. But if you want to win a game in March, if you want to win in the tournament itself, I think UVM needs to be bringing in a bunch of excellent shooters. Now, Princeton beat Arizona. They only hit 4 threes, so you can win without shooting great. But I think the quickest way for UVM to win a game in the tournament is to be a team full of shooters. You need athleticism. You need size. You need guys that can get to the rim and create. But I need to know that all 5 guys on the floor are threats from deep. That's what I needed. That's what UVM was missing this year specifically. Dylan Penn, Robin Duncan, relatively easy to lay off of. Aliri Iofalia, relatively easy to lay off of when he came off the bench. UVM needed more guys on Friday that were threats all over the floor, and they didn't have it. If UVM wants to be the team that we're talking about being the Cinderella story, if they want to be the team that we're talking about getting to the Sweet 16, we need to know that they have versatile players that all can shoot and all can shoot at any time from anywhere. We've kind of seen this before, and it nearly worked. UVM almost beat Florida State, and they had Ernie Duncan, and they had Steph Smith, and they had Anthony Lamb, and they had Ben Shungu. And last year, they almost beat Arkansas, and they had Shungu, and Davis, and Deloney, and Sullivan, and Missoula. So we've seen this before, and we've seen it almost work. If UVM is going to win a game in the tournament, for my money, they need that and better. All 5 guys need to be versatile enough to hit outside shots. This year, you were playing with essentially 2 non-outside shooters, and Duncan was excellent this year, and Penn was excellent this year, and this team needed both of them. But if you want to win in March, you need all 5 guys moving forward with the ability to hit from 3. If you want to be in the position that Princeton is in, recruit shooters. You can't ignore the other stuff. The other stuff will help. But as far as winning in the tournament, shooters is what this team needs. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line again all show long. Your suggestions, your thoughts. We have a lot of thoughts here on what the Catamounts can do moving forward. Texters says they need more scholarships. Well, they can't get more scholarships. That's a fixed number. They give out the maximum amount that they're allowed. 2, they need the Tarrant Center completed. It would be attractive to recruits, and it would be comfortable for the fans, and it would entice a 5,000 to 7,000 person crowd. Couple of things. 1, yes, they need the new arena. Right? They absolutely need the new arena. The players in the program deserve it. The coaches who have built the program and maintained it deserve it. On the women's side, the coaches who have built it deserve it. And the fans deserve it as well. The community deserves it also. The arena project needs to be finished. You want to attract better players. You want to attract the next level of transfers. Then winning is paramount. You've got to be able to win, but you got to have the resources that show that you're committed and show that you're a fun place to play and that you can improve your game. So yes, as for getting 5,000 or 7,000, that's not going to happen, right? they've already said that the Terrence Center is going to be about the same as Patrick Gym. It's going to hold about 3,500. They have said, we want this thing to be sold out. We don't want to have a 7,000 seat arena and see people not figure out, see people at half empty. They've got to figure out how to get students in there. That's kind of, we're talking about the crowd. They've got to get more students. And I love seeing the community in there. I'd like to see less community members and more students, if we're being perfectly honest. I want to see it be a college basketball environment. And a college basketball environment is made better when there are students going crazy in the crowd. I'd like to see concessions there be better. So I'd like to see the whole fan experience be better, and I'd like to see students able to go or wanting to go. But the arena project needs to get done. That will help impress players, absolutely. But you're not getting 7,000 people. Let me go for a minute on the UVM women here. Catamount women were beaten by UConn in the first round of the tournament on Saturday. That was a blowout, 95-52. This one was expected, right? I predicted on Friday. I thought that UConn would win. What did I say? 91-45. Well, it was 95-52. I thought UConn would win by 44. They won by 43. So we were pretty dead on in our assessment of this matchup. And you just look at the box score. You didn't even have to watch the game. Just look at the box score, and that tells the story completely. UVM got out rebounded by Connecticut by 24. UConn had the best player on the floor in Aaliyah Edwards, who scored 28. UVM got 5 points combined from 3 of its 5 starters. Bella Vito, Delaney Richardson, Anna Olsen scored 5 total points. That's tough sledding. But that's what happens when you play the preeminent program of the last 20 years in the sport in their building. That is what happened. It's a disappointing end to what was a great year for the Catamount women, right? We can look at the UVM men and the UVM women's ending to their seasons as both disappointing, but have different views on it all. I look at the men as like, hey, it was a great season, but the program didn't move forward. I look at the women as, hey, it was a great season, and the program absolutely moved forward. It was great. And Elisa Kresge, the head coach of the Catamounts, started to reflect on it on Saturday as well.
I need 5 minutes to really take a step back and realize how special this was. 17 games in a row is so hard. It's so impressive. And it could have went one of 2 ways, as we talked about a lot. So I want this group to enjoy this. Their bodies, they need a minute. They need to recover. They need to rest up. And then miss the basketball and get back after it. And then the summer, and we start all over again.
Yeah, this is a program that has completed the transition. 10 consecutive losing seasons, finally get a home playoff game last year. Now you win the whole thing. The program won 17 games in a row this season, overcame adversity of a bad start. They should be incredibly proud of what they've accomplished. On-court wise, culture-wise, this was a great year for the UVM women. A great year. And by the way, shout out to Catherine Gilwey, Shelburne native CVU product, led the way for UVM with 14 points. Imagine that. You go from playing high school basketball at CVU to 2 years later being the leading scorer against Connecticut in the NCAA tournament. That's a hell of a rise. And it's a great story. Congratulations to Catherine Gilwey on her great season and on her great performance in the NCAA tournament as well. That is very good stuff. We're going to have more stuff on the Catamounts as we move forward here on the Brady Farkas Show, but we're going to splice in a bunch of other stuff as well, including why you should be watching the World Baseball Classic tonight. If you are a Red Sox fan, you'll want to tune in to the World Baseball Classic for a very big reason. I'll tell you what that is. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting strong communities by helping local governments since 1986.
Antioxidants, you've heard of them, but do you know what they're good for or where to get them? This is Sylvia Escott Stump of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Antioxidants, they destroy the free radicals that cause cellular damage, and eating foods that are rich in antioxidants may help prevent cancer and heart disease. These foods include red wine in addition to grape juice, whole grain pasta, eggs, seafood, and canned beans, brightly colored vegetables, carrots, squash, broccoli, all the peppers, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, and kale are other tasty sources. And for those of you with a sweet tooth, good news. Honey, brown sugar, and maple syrup, in addition to fruits like blueberries, cantaloupe, peaches, and strawberries, also contain significant levels of antioxidants. Encouraging you to eat right, I'm registered dietitian Sylvia Escott Stump with the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics.
Even though it's been snowing and spring seems far off, mud season is coming. And with the mud comes potential flooding. Flooding is Vermont's top hazard, and flood insurance is the best way to protect your home. Flood insurance isn't included in standard homeowners policies, so you will need a separate policy. To learn more, visit floodsmart.gov. This message is brought to you by the
Hi, I'm Kirsten from Pentatonics. We've all learned how to cope with more time alone, with more time spent isolated
org and this station.
Radio Vermont Group Director of Digital Marketing, Nathan Wright, explains why your website is so important to your business.
Your website is your first impression. The first thing we look at is if it's professionally done and has a good representation of you online. We also make sure that it's mobile friendly, secure, and laid out properly. So when somebody looking to use your services or to get your products, they do research online first. And we want to make sure that you have a clean and clear presentation online. Local businesses have always relied on the Radio Vermont Group for radio advertising. Now we offer digital products. If digital advertising is something you've always been interested in or are currently looking for another option, feel free to give us a call.
Interested in creating or updating your website? Let Radio Vermont Group Digital Services help you through the process. Find out more about all of our digital products at rvgdigital.com.
What is dedication? The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. If you are a Red Sox fan, I encourage you tonight to go watch the other semifinal of the World Baseball Classic. It's going to be played between Mexico and Japan. The winner goes on to play the United States. But I encourage you, if you are a Red Sox fan, to go and watch tonight's game between Japan and Mexico. Because when you do, you will notice that the Red Sox likely cleanup hitter is playing in this game for Team Japan. That's right. Masataka Yoshida is expected to hit cleanup this season for your Boston Red Sox. Mike Monaco of Nesson reported that Alex Cora told reporters that he expects Yoshida to hit cleanup to open the season. And remember, I told you to watch for this. First spring training game, late February. Red Sox were taking on Northeastern, and Yoshida was hitting cleanup. And I put on Twitter to watch out for this, or that this storyline was something to watch for. And former Red Sox infielder Will Middlebrooks even wrote me on Twitter and said, easy, spring training lineups mean nothing. I'd read nothing into this. And well, I read into it then, and I'm coming back here to tell you I was right. It was something to watch. Masataka Yoshida hit cleanup the first couple of games of Red Sox spring training, and now he's probably going to, or likely to, open the season as the Red Sox cleanup hitter. So we're going to get Devers hitting second, Justin Turner hitting third, and the leadoff spot to be determined. I assume Kike Hernandez would lead off like he did in 2021 for the Red Sox. I saw someone suggest that maybe Tristan Casas could hit leadoff. That would be interesting. But nonetheless, Masataka Yoshida going to be hitting cleanup. Now, I like this because when Yoshida was signed, I thought he was going to be a middle-of-the-order run-producing bat. Everyone kind of told us afterwards, oh, no, he's a leadoff guy. He's a slap hitter, and I got a little discouraged. But he is a guy who now is going to hit the middle of the order, and he's a guy who has real pop in his bat. He is a small frame, but he has real power. He had 21 home runs in Japan last year in just 119 games. He had a monster home run at the World Baseball Classic just last week.
That ball is crushed. Masataka Yoshida.
Yeah, Yoshida he has been balling at the World Baseball Classic. At last check, now maybe he's been passed by Trey Turner, but he was at last check leading the tournament in RBI. I think he has been passed by Turner, but Yoshida has had a great World Baseball Classic, and I'm glad to see him in the middle of the order. I mean, if you're committed to hitting Devers second, then I'm glad to see Yoshida hitting fourth. You're paying him $90 million in total. You had to give his team a posting fee in order to get him. So basically, you gave over $100 million to get Yoshida. I want to see his full power on display, his full arsenal on display. He can hit for contact. He doesn't strike out. He can walk well. He has a good eye, but he has power. And now, hitting in the middle of the order, he's going to be in a spot where all of those tools are available for him to show off. Yoshida hitting fourth. I'm starting to like the Red Sox lineup construction better as we go. As we get closer and closer to the season and we're getting more and more spring results and WBC results, I'm starting to like the Red Sox order more than I thought I would. Now, a lot of this is dependent on health. Health will dictate how the Red Sox do in 2023. But if everybody's healthy, I'm feeling reasonably okay about the team's offense. I imagine Kike leading off, Devers hitting second, Turner hitting third, Yoshida hitting fourth. And then after that, then I'm not sure. Maybe Duvall fifth, Casas sixth, Verdugo seventh, Alfaro eighth, Arroyo ninth, maybe something like that. It's possible. Again, everybody's got to be healthy. And there's some major ifs with this team. Arroyo's a question mark health-wise. Kike is a question mark health-wise. Casas' first year is a question mark, first full year. Yoshida adjusting to Major League Baseball. Devers got all the money. There's a lot of questions here. Turner's age is a question, but if everything checks out, Red Sox are better offensively maybe than we were expecting. There are real players there. I can't believe, by the way, we're 10 days from opening day. I can't believe we are 10 days from opening day. I feel like this year more than any other, opening day has kind of snuck up on me. Usually once Valentine's Day hits and we get pitchers and catchers, I'm just kind of ready for opening day, and I'm kind of counting down to it. It seems like spring training just lasts forever. This year doesn't feel that way. This year it feels like spring training snuck up on me. Between the UVM coverage, NFL free agency, and the WBC, I feel like I've been a little more disconnected from spring training than I have been in years past. And now that UVM is done, it's like, oh, UVM is done? Oh, World Baseball Classic is almost done? All right, well, let me go back to thinking about Major League Baseball. And, oh, hey, wouldn't you know, the season starts in a week and a half. Like, we're going to have Major League Baseball next Thursday, which is insane to me. Insane to me. It's not something that I've been kind of ready for. And the Red Sox have a lot of intrigue, I think. 802-585-3026. The Red Sox have a lot of intrigue. Yoshida is intriguing. Hitting in the cleanup spot, how he adjusts to U.S. pitching, that's a storyline. Casas, how he does in his first full year, that's a storyline. Trevor Story, can he ever make it back this season? That's a story. How does the bullpen do? Red Sox went out and spent on Kenley Jansen. They went out and spent on Chris Martin. They went out and spent on Jolie Rodriguez. Rodriguez is now hurt, so we'll see how long he's out. What happens with the rest of the bullpen? Is Houck in the bullpen? Is Paxton in the... I mean, we don't know. Is Schreiber the same guy that he was a year ago? All of this is out there as question marks. And then there's the biggest question mark, Chris Sale. Right? That's the biggest question mark. Chris Sale, is he a guy who's Cy Young Sale, or does he make 5 starts this year? We have no idea. How about Paxton? What is he? We have no idea. There is intrigue around this team. And I think there's a lot of intrigue in Major League Baseball in general this season. I think this is going to be a great year for Major League Baseball. I mean, I think the number one story in baseball is Ohtani. Ohtani is having a great World Baseball Classic as well. Threw 102 the other day. Has hit home runs. And it's like Ohtani in the free agent year, Buster Olney has said he might get $600 million. Ohtani is grade A must-watch theater this year. Then there's the whole Padres-Dodgers battle. I think that's going to be great in the NL West. Padres load up. They've got Soto for a full year. They've got Xander now. They go and make moves in the rotation. The Dodgers are still the Dodgers. They've got JD Martinez, a lot of you have forgotten about. I think that's interesting. And then, of course, there's the whole new rules thing, right? Pitch clock, bigger bases, how much lack of shifts, how does it change the offense? I think there's a lot of intrigue in baseball. Tex says, I'll take the under on Chris Sale starts. I don't care what the line is. I can't tell you you're wrong for that. Chris Sale, I don't have any faith he's going to make 30 starts. My question is he going to make 20 starts? If he makes 20 starts, I'll consider it a win for the Red Sox. But if you told me he was going to make 7, I can't tell you I'd be surprised either. But if the Sox want to be good, they need Sale to be good. If they want to be great, they need Sale to be great. But right now, they also just need Sale to be available. Another text says they should have signed Xander. John Henry could be the world's biggest loser. They shouldn't have signed Xander to a $280 million deal. They should have gotten Xander locked up last season when Xander wanted to be here. They absolutely screwed the relationship over with Xander Bogaerts. They screwed the handling of it, and they put themselves in a position to go and be outbid. Xander Bogaerts at 30 years old is not worth $280 million. There's no shot they could have matched that. But last year, they could have had him, I'm sure, for like 6 for 150 or 6 for 175. And they missed that opportunity because they screwed everything up. John over in Moncton, thanks for the emotion, or thanks for articulating the emotions of many UVM fans. I want UVM to be that Cinderella story. I'm looking forward to the Terrence Center being completed and seeing college students with face paint, school colors, and loud crowds. Let's generate the type of excitement we see at other college arenas. By the way, thanks for the heads up on Yoshida. I've been watching so much basketball, I haven't followed the baseball classic. Well, tonight is the other semifinal, and the championship is tomorrow. Mexico against Japan today. Yoshida will be in the lineup for Japan. Ohtani will be in the lineup for Japan. Roki Sasaki, who's a 21-year-old, might be the next Darvish, the next Ohtani to come over. He's going to be on the mound. And then Alex Verdugo is obviously on the mound for Japan, or is on the roster for Mexico. He's having a bad classic, actually. He's 2 for 19. But Jaron Duran's on that Mexican team as well, so we'll see what they do, specifically Verdugo, though. But Randy Arozarena is the guy who's really been carrying Mexico in this all. So, yeah, good stuff for sure. And now without UVM basketball, it's time to kind of turn our attention back to baseball. Speaking of attention and speaking of UVM basketball, questions for the Catamount men and questions for the Catamount women. I've got takes on both programs. Texter says, any update on the Terrence Center? I heard it's turned into a big nothing burger. There needs to be like $85 million more than they expected for the Terrence Center. The school's going to put up 43 of it. They've got to find the other 42. So they say it's going to happen, but they need more money because it's over budget because of delays and material costs, etc. So where are they going to find $42 million? That's the question. They are going to finish the project, they say. We just don't know when. So it's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Questions for both programs next.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV
This
Waterbury.
is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York, where a grand jury heard more testimony today on former President Trump. It's looking into whether he falsified business records to hide hush money payments to Stormy Daniels in 2016. Back then, Bob Costello was a legal advisor to Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen.
The only thing I'm doing is trying to tell the truth to the grand jurors, because I read all these lies in the media that are being promoted by one side. If you see the full picture, listen, if they want to go after Donald Trump and they have solid evidence, so be it. But Michael Cohen is far from solid evidence.
An indictment is not expected till later this week. Meantime, some Republicans have launched their own investigation. Here's CBS's Nicole Killian.
House Republicans have sent a letter to Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg requesting testimony by Thursday about his investigation into former President Donald Trump. The heads of the Judiciary, Oversight, and House Administration Committees signed on to the letter, which also asked for communications and documents. The lawmakers call Bragg's potential indictment of former President Trump an unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial authority.
The White House isn't happy about Russia and China's leaders meeting in Moscow today. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby.
We are concerned that instead, China will reiterate calls for a ceasefire that leaves Russian forces inside Ukraine's sovereign territory. Now, any ceasefire that does not address the removal of Russian forces from Ukraine would effectively ratify Russia's illegal conquests.
Teachers in Los Angeles are ready to hit the picket lines.
Plans for a 3-day strike are still on in the nation's second largest school district. Custodial workers, bus drivers, food servers, and others accounting for around 30,000 say they will walk out tomorrow demanding higher wages. Teachers say they will honor the picket lines, which means schools will essentially be shut down, affecting more than 500,000 students.
That's CBS's Steve Futterman reporting. Parents, beware, your baby's formula could be bad. Here's CBS's Matt Piper.
Some Gerber Good Start Soothe Pro TM powdered infant formula is being recalled because it could be contaminated with bacteria that can make babies seriously ill. The impacted formula was sold after March 5th and has use-by dates between July 4th and July 16th of 2024.
So far, no illnesses have been reported. Well, the cast of Ted Lasso met with President Biden today to talk about mental health at the White House. Here's star Jason Sudeikis.
So please, we encourage everyone, and it's a big theme of the show, is to check in with your neighbor, your coworker, your friends, your family, and ask how they're doing, and listen.
This is CBS News.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
There's a new effort in Congress now to make sure retired lab animals find good homes.
A congressional bipartisan bill would try and put retired government laboratory testing animals into forever homes or animal rescues.
It requires a process by all federal agencies or any laboratory that's receiving federal funding. So it picks up all those other routes that are not currently being used.
Arizona Humane Society President Dr. Stephen Hansen.
Animals would be well cared for. They have not really seen any awful things necessarily in their lives, but they're ready for a home.
Stephen Kaufman, CBS News, Prescott, Arizona.
There's a new study from the Pentagon that's found high rates of cancer among military pilots and ground crews who fuel, maintain, and launch those aircraft. The study followed about 900,000 service members dating back to the early 90s. The Pentagon says many had significantly higher rates of melanoma, thyroid, brain, prostate, and breast cancers. Monica Rick, CBS News.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Show brought to you in part by Fecto Homes. And we go up until 7 o'clock, and then it's Jazz with George Thomas. I have questions for both the UVM men's basketball program and the UVM women's basketball program. So as we head towards the off season officially, let's answer some, or let's ask those questions. I've got 3 each for both programs, and they're relatively the same for both programs. Question number 1, can we get a little music? Actually, that's not question number 1, but it's a question that I have. So let's get the proper music here. Press this button here, carry the 2. There you go. All right. Questions for both programs. Do the coaches stay? Do the coaches stay? Do the head coaches of these programs stay in Burlington? John Becker on the men's side, Elisa Kresge on the women's side. Every time you have success, which these programs now have had, you put yourself on the radar, and both these coaches had it this year, and in Becker's case, he's had it repeatedly. Now, I told you this last week. I'll tell you it again. I have heard people opine that John Becker won't leave Burlington because he's not able to. They think because of the Anthony Lamb rape allegations that occurred under his watch, that basically he is off the radar for a lot of other schools. That he's protected in Burlington, but he's not wanted anywhere else. I do not know if that's true. But if it's not true, there are dominoes in motion here. The college basketball coaching carousel right now is crazy. And John Becker, if he's not kind of, on ice for other jobs, certainly could be part of what happens here. Ed Cooley, the head coach at Providence, he just left. He went to Georgetown. So now the Providence job is open. That's a New England job in a bigger conference. I could see Becker being a candidate for that if Providence, will consider looking at him. His teams have played Providence before and have played them hard. That is a job that Becker could be in the running for. Rick Pitino just left Iona to go to St. John's. Iona is a better job than UVM money-wise, league-wise. They've had a lot of success there. Could Iona want Becker? Does Becker want to go there? I'm not sure. Notre Dame's job is open. Mike Bray is leaving. He's just going to get the job at South Florida. So if Bray leaves Notre Dame, someone's going to get that job. Does Becker backfill wherever they're coming from? I'm seeing at least reports of Becker linked to Holy Cross. I don't know if that's real or not, but ESPN on March 10th put out that Holy Cross might be in the market for Becker, and they have a surprisingly strong salary offer, and they play in a pretty good Patriot League. And I think Becker has at least some personal connections to Holy Cross as far as I know. So, again, I don't know what's true as far as how John Becker is viewed nationally. But if he's going to be viewed as a possibility, or if he's going to be viewed as hireable by other places, then the dominoes are in motion. Right? The Providence job is open. Could Becker get that directly? If somebody else gets the Providence job, does Becker backfill that job? Same at Notre Dame. Does Becker want the Iona job? These are things that are out there. I'd be very, very curious to hear the conversations around John Becker. Elisa Kresge as well, the UVM women's head coach. She clearly has shown the ability to coach. Now, I don't pretend to know the women's coaching openings, but trust me, there will be a similar domino effect on the women's side. There will be a domino effect in the women's game. Kresge has shown that she can recruit. She has shown that she can coach in-game. She has shown that she can develop talent, and she has shown that she can build a program essentially from the ground up. She's reached the tournament here. She's accomplished the goal. It's going to be very hard for her to win a game in the tournament here. So it's absolutely a possibility that she gets on a radar somewhere and that she wants to take advantage of it. Now, John Becker, I think, can win here repeatedly. If he wants to stay here, he can win here repeatedly. Elisa Kresge, I don't know that she can yet. We haven't seen them do it sustainably. Maybe she can. Maybe she's the answer, and she can have a Becker-style run on the women's side. But she's got a couple players that are going to be leaving soon to graduation. If she thinks it's hard to repeat what she's done here, don't be surprised if she at least listens to other offers. That is how this game is played. So I would absolutely have a question. Texter says, I don't believe Becker is hindered by the allegation, but I also thought he did not have the enthusiasm he's had in years past. He seemed ready to move on. I don't know that, but I do believe he's frustrated by the arena developments or lack thereof. And how could you not be, right? He was told this project was greenlit in 2019 or so, 18. We were told we were going to have a new arena to be playing in by last season, I believe. Then, so you're kind of waiting for that as Becker. Then COVID hits, everything gets shut down, right? There's the stay home, stay safe order from the governor. So there's no building that can be done. Then the prices on everything go out the wazoo and the job gets more expensive and labor costs get more expensive and materials costs get more expensive. So then they kind of put the project on ice. They start the hockey project. They're working on that. But as everything else gets more expensive, they're like, whoa, we better tone it down. Now they come out and say we're $85 million short, 40 of which we're going to build. The other 40, you're going to go out and find money for it. Now the project's on ice and we're no shovels in the ground on the Terrence Center. So, I mean, we're what? We're probably 3 to 5 years from the new arena being done here and it being ability to have the ability to be played in. Does Becker want to wait around for that? I don't know. Again, it probably depends on how hireable he is to the outside. That's a question that I don't know. I've had people that clearly don't like Becker reach out to me and say he's radioactive to other places. And I've had people like that texter say, I don't think there's any, I don't know what's true. I know that John Becker is safe here. If he's not hireable anywhere else, then he can stay here for a lifetime, I'm sure. But the dominoes are in motion that he certainly could be part of that. But I think Becker was frustrated this year by, I think, you know what? I think it's a good question, actually. I don't think Becker was less enthusiastic because I think he really cared about this team. But I do think John Becker has frustrations, right? The arena is a frustration. What he told us at the beginning of the year was a frustration. We're on the road all of November. We're playing a hard schedule, and yeah, that's cool, but we don't have enough home games. We don't have any bye games. We can't get anybody to come here. I think there's absolutely frustrations with John Becker. I think that's fair to say. Question number 2 here on the Brady Farkas Show is what happens to the senior stars on these teams with extra years of eligibility? That's what I want to know, right? We'll start on the women's side. Emma Utterback. What happens with her? She's a senior. She has a year of eligibility left because of the COVID pandemic. You get that extra year because of COVID. Does Emma Utterback want to graduate? And does she want to graduate and go into the workforce? Does she want to, take the 5th year and stay here in Burlington? Does she want to take the 5th year and play somewhere else? I imagine Emma Utterback is going to play college basketball next year. That would be my assumption. But is she going to do it here or not? I don't know. She's accomplished the ultimate goal here. She has built this program up. She has won a regular season title. She has won a conference tournament. She has gotten to the NCAA tournament. She's played UConn. She has taken UVM women's basketball likely as far as it can go on her watch. Right? I think that's fair to say. I don't think the UVM women are going to win a tournament game next year. She's taken it as far as she can go. Does she want to come back here and try to double up on it because she's got good relationships and good friendships? She wants to play with her friends more? Maybe. Or does she want to go out and say, I want to go to a place somewhere else bigger where I can contribute and try to get to the tournament again and win? I don't know. And then on the men's side, Aaron Deloney. He's that guy in that situation. He was on our show last week. He said he didn't know what he's going to do. I think, is this that quote?
I'm excited, man. I can't wait to make a run to get back to the tournament.
No, that's not it. Deloney was with us last week, and we don't have that cut. But nonetheless, Deloney was on our show and said, I don't know what I'm going to do next year. I haven't thought about it. I'm more worried about the tournament. Let me pose the question to you. 802-585-3026. If you were Aaron Deloney, what would you do in this case? Because I think Aaron Deloney is in a fascinating case. Can we get the music down for a second, guys, here? Again, 802-585-3026. Deloney. He's got 3 options. He can leave. He's a senior. He can graduate, leave school entirely, go pro, and try to play overseas. That's 1. 2, he can stay in school, be at UVM, and try to be the focal point of the team and try to get UVM that NCAA victory. Or 3, he also can come back to school but transfer for that last year. My question is to you, what would you do? 802-585-3026. You have those 3 options. What would you do? And I can tell you what I would do, but as far as what Deloney will do, I think all 3 options are fairly in play for him. Aaron Deloney is good enough to play professional basketball. If he just wants to be done with school and wants to start making money to play basketball like Ryan Davis did a year ago, who could fault him? I couldn't. I think that's absolutely a realistic possibility for him. But 2, Aaron Deloney seems to be a really loyal guy, and he seems to really care about Vermont and about this program. He didn't leave after his freshman year when he didn't play much and go to transfer. He didn't leave after the COVID year when he had a kind of rough season. He hasn't left or transferred any of the chances that he could. He's talked a lot about wanting to be a loyal guy and wanting to play here and wanting to get it right here. I could absolutely see him wanting to finish what he started at UVM, and I could see him wanting to go from being the 2-time 6th man of the year to a first-team all-conference selection. I could see him being the guy that wants to get UVM over the hump in the tournament and be a part of that, 100%. So I could see him going pro, I could see him coming back, and I could also see him transferring. Would you fault him if he did that? I wouldn't. Steph Smith did that a couple of years ago, played 4 years at UVM, gave the program his all, got the program to the tournament, and then decided to use that 5th year for him. He didn't know UVM anything further than that. He went out and took his last year for him and took it to St. John's. Could you blame Deloney if he does that? All I can tell you is what I would do. If I were Aaron Deloney, I'd transfer. I would love to see Aaron Deloney come back. I enjoy watching him play. This program is better with him in it. Next year's team will be better with him on it. Selfishly, I want Aaron Deloney back in Burlington. But if I were him, I would transfer. It would be a really hard decision, but that's what I would do. I'd put off going pro by a year. I tried to go to the tournament again, and I tried to be in a position where I could win and where I could win in the tournament. Deloney is from out west. Does he want to go play at Oregon in his home state? Does he want to go to Oregon State? Does he want to go to Arizona? Does he want to go to Arizona State, both of which made the tournament? I don't know, but he could play closer to home, and he could play in a spot where he could get to the tournament and win a game or two in it, if not more. That's what I'd want to do if I were him. Multiple tournament games, bigger stage, closer to home. I've given you my all for 4 years. I've never left. I've put in the work. I've completed my obligation to the program, and now I want to take one for me. That's what I would do. And by the way, my class that I came in with, they're graduating too. So my best friends on the team, they're gone. Deloney has talked about being so close with Robin Duncan. Robin's going to be gone. Right? Finn Sullivan's going to be gone. Dylan Penn's going to be gone. If I were Aaron Deloney, I would transfer and go play another year somewhere else. But that is just me. I think all three options are fully in play for him. I could absolutely see him coming back. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. One text says I would go. The other text says I would stay. Nobody has said I'd go pro yet. It depends on the money, I guess, at that rate as well. And then my third question, we can get the music back on if you guys want here. My third question is, for both programs, the men and the women, how do they recruit this offseason? Right? How do they recruit this offseason? The UVM men have to recruit a ton, and they have to recruit from the transfer portal because they got to replace everybody. They got to replace Cam Gibson, Dylan Penn, Finn Sullivan, Robin Duncan, and maybe Deloney. They got to find 4 starting caliber players in the transfer portal. They got to recruit their tail off. For the UVM women, they need to get more depth. If Elisa Kresge stays here, her challenge is to get more depth, to get more players that she can trust and she can rely on. I really didn't like to see the other day's box score, right? When I really went and looked at the box score for the UVM women against Connecticut, I didn't like what I saw because this is a game that UVM got beat by 40, right? UVM got beat by 43 points, 95-42. And in this game, Catherine Gilwee played 37 minutes and Emma Utterbeck played 38. In a game you're getting beat by 40, your starters had to play 37 and 38 minutes. You look at the bench, UVM had one bench player play 24 minutes and one bench player play 25, and no other player in a blowout played more than 3 minutes. You've got to get more depth on this team. You can't, or you shouldn't, have your starters out there 38 minutes a game and have that be a must-have for you, even in a game you're getting killed, they're out there for 40 minutes a game. That shouldn't be the case. You need to go out and recruit more players that you can trust. It is the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Let's stick with the college basketball theme. Let's get to who's saying what.
Whoa. What did he say?
What is he doing? He's stealing money. What the hell is he doing? He should have gotten his surgery. They were out of it in August. Why did they get the surgery done in August? They could have played beginning of the year.
Preacher.
That's a joke with him.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
So UVM women lose to UConn, but after the game, Gino Auriemma, the legendary coach at UConn, raised my eyebrows with comments he made about UVM and about conference tournaments.
Well, I think the NCAA has to be a little more creative and stop sending them here. The league that they're in is probably going to dictate how high their ceiling is, just like it is for your men's team. That doesn't mean, though, that they can't become a consistent NCAA tournament team, which I think if you're playing in a one-bid league, it's hard as hell. And I've been on a rampage about it. And just the fact that they have a tournament is stupid, because Vermont next year could go undefeated losing the semifinals or the finals of their tournament, and they won't get a bid.
That's really interesting. Do you think that conferences like the America East should even have conference tournaments? Now, Gino makes some very interesting points. I don't really know how I feel about it, just to be honest with you. I tell you guys this all the time. I like to have an answer on everything. I like to have a side on everything. This one, I don't really have an opinion on because I don't know how to feel about this yet. Right? I mean, on one hand, Gino is right. One bid league like Vermont plays the whole regular season, and you could be awesome. And then you have one bad day in March, and your season is over, and that stinks. On the other hand, if all you did was award the regular season champion the title, then most of the teams would be out of it for most of the regular season. They'd have no chance. They'd have no motivation. And the whole back end of the schedule would just be people playing checked out. I don't love that either. So I think the America East has done this right. You have the tournament, so everybody in theory has a chance, but you've given the higher seeds the ability to play games at home. That, I think, is the best of both worlds. Yes, you could still have your whole season derailed by one bad day in March, but at least you have the ability to earn home court advantage for these games. That, to me, I think, is the right way to go. I like conference tournaments. I get Gino's point that, yes, it can happen where it's not fair, but at least as the one seed, you play at your home gym, and you have something to play for all regular season to get that game. I think that's fair. It's the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. The Patriots certainly seem like they're building up around Mac Jones, but one former Patriot wants to see them build around Lamar Jackson. We'll talk about that next on DEV.
Do you own land with a single or double wide home? Visit Fecto Homes, where they can guarantee you top dollar for your existing mobile home, regardless of the year. They offer many finance options with competitive rates and down payment assistance exclusively for mobile homes. Fecto Homes has several models for sale off the lot or customize and order your own. Make the most of your time and money. Visit them today at 350 River Street, Route 302 in Montpelier, or online at fectohomes.com.
Everyone loves TV Dad.
On the next TV Dad, presented by Progressive, TV Dad gets us through heartache.
Chin up, sport.
Oh, hey, TV Dad.
You know what heals all wounds?
Time?
No, it's remembering that drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds.
But Jen still doesn't want to be with me.
True. I actually saw her with your friend Brian earlier.
Wait, what? Listen to your TV Dad. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Wendy's 2 for $6 lets you mix and match some of our best items, like Dave Single with a 10-piece crispy nugs, medium strawberry lemonade with a spicy chicken sandwich, spicy chicken with a Dave Single with a strawberry lemonade, strawberry lemonade, if you're into that. Chicken Sam, crispy nugs, strawberry lemonade, Dave's, nugs, Sam. Whew. Pick what you want at a price you want. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's 2 for $6.
For a limited time, price and participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's. On the card only. Single item at regular price.
Hi, this is Mike Goslin with a few reasons you should buy your next vehicle at Cody Chevrolet Cadillac. Selection. We have the best selection of new and certified pre-owned Chevrolets and Cadillacs with the lowest prices in Central Vermont. Experience. Our friendly, qualified employees are focused on exceeding your expectations. Service. Our award-winning state-of-the-art service department with a convenient drive-through service lane. Location. We are conveniently located near routes 2, 302, and I-89 on the Barry-Montpelier Road, or online at CodyChevrolet.com. Cody is why, Chevy's the buy. Chevrolet, find new roads.
Local businesses advertise with WDEV because they get results.
I've been advertising on WDEV for a number of years now. It's been a really great spot for me to get my name out.
We're an excellent partner for our advertising dollars.
We jumped at the opportunity, and we're so pleased we did. We have experienced incredible results.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radiovermont.com.
Hello, I'm Jose Hernandez, and I have been using a wheelchair since my accident in 1995.
My name is Andrea Delzell, and I've been using a wheelchair since I was 5 years old.
I guess if I had one message for the general public, it would be that I appreciate your help. But please, ask first.
Yeah, A lot of people don't realize that I've actually got everything under control.
I think people get nervous. They don't know how to act, so they pretend I'm not there.
What probably bothers me the most is when waiters talk to my companion and not directly to me.
I think everyone with a disability can relate to that parking spot problem.
We know you're just parking in that disabled spot for a second, but please, don't. We're just looking for the same respect and consideration as everyone else.
United Spinal Association is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life of people living with spinal cord injuries and disorders. Download our disability etiquette booklet at unitedspinal.org.
This is David Goodman. Join me every Wednesday at 1 o'clock for the Vermont Conversation, brought to you by vtdigger.org, Vermont's nonprofit news source. I'll talk with national and local change makers from the worlds of politics, social and racial justice, science, education, and the environment who are having an impact on our daily lives. You can also hear the Vermont Conversation at vtdigger.org or sign up for our podcasts. Join me and take part in the Vermont Conversation Wednesdays at 1 here on WDEV.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Show brought to you by Fecto Homes, and Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next from 7 until 9, and then it's Eye on the World with John Batchelor. The Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line is open, 802-585-3026. Texter says, is UVM's arena issues about more money and scholarships? Well, it's definitely about money, right? Like UVM needs more money. I think it's about Becker leaving or Elisa Kresge leaving. The scholarship limits are the same. Everywhere you go, the scholarship limits are the same. In D1 basketball, you could have X amount of scholarships, and that's everywhere. As for money that would be made, well, that's up to everybody what they decide is enough money for them. Like, I think Becker and Elisa Kresge make in the 300,000s. Like, I think they have to be paid the same amount under Title IX. So I think it's in the 300,000s. Is 500,000? Like, do you need 500,000? Do you need 700,000? Do you need $1 million? I don't know. But, you know, it's that's up to you. But the scholarship limits are the same. All right. We'll get back to UVM at the end of the show. I want to transition here into the Patriots because former Patriots linebacker and Super Bowl champion Rob Ninkovich says the Patriots should go after Lamar Jackson here in the quarterback carousel.
If the Patriots wanted to make a splash and do something that they haven't done and get back into a Super Bowl hunt, what else could you do? If you go and get Lamar, it changes the whole outlook on what you are as an organization and as a team right now. You know, I think that you can't say this won't happen. You can't say this would never happen. He's a great football player, and Bill Belichick loves great football players.
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not saying that it shouldn't, but I don't think it's going to happen. And there's a couple of different reasons why. One, I mean, let's just look at the facts here. Lamar Jackson has been given the franchise tag. As of right now, you'd have to give up 2 first-round picks to the Ravens in order to acquire Lamar Jackson. I don't think that's that big a deal, right? I'd give up 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson. We saw Russell Wilson last year go for 2 first-round picks. Why wouldn't Lamar go for 2? So I'd have no problem giving up 2 first-round picks. This could be some kind of a sign and trade, right, where the Ravens sign Lamar and then you trade for him, in which case you'd probably have to give up 3 first-round picks. And you know what? I'd probably be okay with that too. But why I don't think this is going to happen is the same reason the Ravens don't have Lamar Jackson right now, and it's the idea of guaranteed money. Like, that to me is the holdup with Lamar Jackson in general. It's why the Ravens can't sign him. It's why the Patriots, I don't think, will sign him. The draft picks in the NFL are really important, but they're not as important as they used to be. Eagles are trading draft picks. Rams are trading draft picks, and these teams are getting to the Super Bowls in back-to-back years. So draft picks, I don't mind giving those up. What I mind giving, and what I think Bill Belichick would mind giving up, is $230 million guaranteed. That's what everybody has a problem with. Lamar Jackson is a guy who has been hurt several times in his career. Can we pull up how many games Lamar Jackson has missed in his career? All right, we got it. Okay. Lamar Jackson played in 12 games this year. He played in 12 games last year. Lamar Jackson played in 15 games in 2020, missed 1, 15 games in 2019, missed 1. So he's missed 1, 2, 5, and 5. So 10. He's missed 5 games each of the last 2 years. Is that a guy you want to give $230 million guaranteed to? No, not if I'm giving up all that other stuff. If I'm giving up 3 first-round picks, I got to know that I got some safety net with the money. If I'm giving up 3 first-round picks and I got to pay $230 million for a guy that's been injured and a guy whose whole game is predicated on his ability to run, that's too much for me. Lamar Jackson is a better overall football player than Mac Jones. I would rather have him than Mac Jones. Yes. But at 3 first-round picks, $230 million, at that injury risk, and at his inability to be an accurate passer, that's too much for me for that much money. It's why the Patriots won't go after him. It's why the Ravens aren't signing him. And it's why nobody else is lined up, right? The Raiders went out and got Jimmy Garoppolo instead of going after Lamar Jackson. The Packers are ready to turn it over to Jordan Love instead of going after Lamar Jackson. The Jets are looking at Aaron Rodgers at 39 years old, 40 years old, instead of Lamar Jackson. The guaranteed money is the issue. Seattle went with Geno Smith again instead of Lamar Jackson. The Niners signed Sam Darnold and are content to play with Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, and Brock Purdy. The Dolphins re-upped on Tua. The Giants re-upped on Daniel Jones. All of these teams could have theoretically taken a shot at Lamar, and none of them has. It's not because Lamar's not a good football player. It's because the cost is too high. The draft pick cost is one thing. That's not too high to me, but the financial cost is another. That's too high to everybody. The Deshaun Watson deal screwed everybody in the NFL because now quarterbacks are going to want a lot of guaranteed money, and they are hard to give out guaranteed money, especially in this sport, to guys who get injured. And Lamar Jackson, the last 2 years, has gotten injured. And it's just that simple. If Lamar Jackson was going to come to the Patriots and play on a 5-year, $125 million deal where 75 of it's guaranteed, I'd do it in a heartbeat. The whole league would do it in a heartbeat. It's $230 million. That's what people can't reconcile. That's what they can't reconcile. Further on the Patriots, former Pat Damian Woody talking about what he'd like to see the Pats do this offseason.
I think the Patriots need some real juice offensively because they don't have anyone over there that really scares you, particularly on the outside. Get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who's obviously he's never been a speed burner, but he's about as reliable as you can get at the receiver position. That's what the Patriots need, especially with Mac Jones coming off that down year. Get him somebody reliable on the outside.
Yes, the Patriots need a home run threat. We've said that, right? We've said that. The question will become for me about the cost. The same as kind of with Lamar Jackson. I want the Pats to go out and make a splash. Is DeAndre Hopkins a splash? I don't know at this point in his career. He's still excellent. What do I have to give up? DeAndre Hopkins played in 9 games last year and still had over 700 yards. 2021, he was hurt. He played just 10 games. He had just 42 catches. So he's struggled the last 2 years with production, health, and oh, by the way, he was suspended by the league as well for performance-enhancing drug or for a banned substance, I should say. So he's not the same. He hasn't been the same player that he was from 2014 to 2020. I'd love to get DeAndre Hopkins, and I'd give up pick number 14 in the draft probably to get him. Or I'd certainly give up a second and a third. I would give up a lot for DeAndre Hopkins. But with how much money he makes and the first-round pick, I just think maybe at that point I'd rather go out and just draft a receiver at number 14. Patriots need help. They need to blow a top off the defense guy. And a guy who's a 10-year veteran in the league, I don't know that he's that guy for a first-round pick. I'm kind of talking myself in circles. Now I'm at this point. I like DeAndre Hopkins. I do it for a second. I do it for a third and a sixth. First-round pick seems too high for me. 10 years in, not the same player he was, has had some health issues, has had some productivity issues. Mac Jones is the quarterback. I don't know that he's the guy. At that rate, I'd rather just draft a quarterback or draft a receiver in the first round. I still don't think Odell Beckham Jr. is a fit. OBJ, I do not believe is the guy he used to be and the guy that he probably thinks he is. OBJ is a second or third receiver on a really good team, or he's the number one on a lousy team, and I don't want to be a lousy team. So I think if Odell Beckham went to Seattle and had Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and him, I think that'd be a great fit for him in terms of where he could perform. If he went to Buffalo and had Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox at tight end and a couple of the threats they had, I think as a 2 receiver, he'd be great. 3 receiver in Miami, think he'd be great. Number 1 receiver for me, doesn't seem likely. Doesn't seem like what I want to do. Could he go to Minnesota and play alongside Justin Jefferson and be there too since Adam Thielen's gone? Maybe. But the report said Beckham wanted $20 million a year. Now, he's refuted that. But at that cost, I don't think he's the player that he was too. So the Patriots now, the Brandon Cooks deal they could have made. Right? Brandon Cooks got traded the other day to Dallas for what? A 5th-round pick? 6th-round pick, something like that? Patriots could have made that deal. And that's a deal I would have been all in favor of. But instead, here we sit, and we're still talking about all these other names still. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Last words on UVM men and women's basketball. What should the recruiting pitches this offseason be? They're very different for the men and the women. I'll tell you what they should be next here on DEV.
It's that time to start planning for your 2023 maple sugaring season, and time to partner up with the Miles Supply Company and CDL Maple Sugaring Supplies. Find all your sugar house needs to get you geared up and ready to boil Vermont's liquid gold. Check out all the CDL inventory, tubing, mainline, fittings, vacuum pumps, wood splitter, and processor available to rent, and much more. The Miles Supply Company and CDL Maple Sugaring Supplies on Boynton Street, your local sugar house resource. The Miles Supply Company, family-owned and building relationships since 1954.
Hi, folks. Dan and Pat Keene here from Lamoille Valley Chevy. About 20 years ago, we realized our dream of becoming an auto dealer. That's right, bro. And thanks to an incredible team of dedicated employees over 3 dealerships, we are proud to say our dealerships are some of the best in New England. With that said, the car, truck, and SUV challenge is now on at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Through April 30th, we have challenged our teams to make deals and reach 400 new vehicles delivered. Folks, right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we have the best selection of new Chevys on the lot in over 3 years, and we are making deals. And how about this? During the challenge, you can purchase or lease any new car or SUV in stock at Lamoille Valley Chevy, and it will include a $500 gas card. Even better, Lamoille Valley Chevy will double your gas card to $1,000 on any new Silverado in stock. That's huge. You heard, Pat. Get a great deal and a $1,000 gas card during the 20th annual Car, Truck, and SUV Challenge going on now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, located just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont.
While Vermont has weathered the pandemic relatively well, COVID-19 infections are still occurring, and many Vermonters are still unboosted, leaving them more susceptible to severe infection. Also, doctors are reporting a new, even more infectious variant circulating in the region and across the country. Every Saturday from February through April, from 9 to noon, the Health Center in Plainfield is hosting free vaccine clinics for the general public, and no appointment is necessary. Vaccines will be available for COVID-19 and influenza for all ages. Keep in mind there are no longer any public COVID clinics. COVID vaccine and boosters are only available now at your local doctor's office, at the pharmacy, or at the Health Center in Plainfield. Be wise, immunize. For more information, call the Health Center at 454-8336. That's 454-8336.
「 Hey,
36.
こ
That's 454-8336.
れ That's 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-8336. 454-
For some people, all they need to know about weather is the high temperature for the day. But if you're one of those people who really wants to understand the hows and whys of weather, especially here in the Green Mountain State, then Roger Hill's Weather Classroom podcast is for you. Some of the topics I'll explore are the types of precipitation, global temperature averages, and tropical cyclones. Roger Hill's Weather Classroom podcast is available at WDEVradio.com, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Jazz with George Thomas coming up about 15 minutes from now. We're going to talk about UVM men and women's basketball and their recruiting pitches for the summer here, for the off season, I should say. But I want to get you this message from Dylan Penn, the Catamount guard, who just put on social media. In 2018, I started my journey as a college basketball player. After 5 years, that journey has officially come to an end. Thank you to all my teammates, coaches, managers, and anyone who has supported me over the years. I've been blessed to play for 2 great universities and achieve much success in my college career. Thank you to Bellarmine University and Knights Nation for the love and support while helping me grow as a person. Thank you, Catamount Country, for embracing me and making part of the Vermont family. Yours truly, Dylan Penn. So good stuff there from Penn, and I give Penn a lot of credit. I talked a little bit about this on Friday. I'll summarize it here briefly. It's not easy to come in as a transfer. It's not easy to come in with 1 year of eligibility and gel, right? Dylan Penn comes from a place, he's at Bellarmine for 4 years. The system is one way, and he has this role in the system, and he's learned that to perfection. And now he comes to another place in another part of the country in a different conference with different teammates and a different system, and he's not sure where his role is. And he finds out when he gets here, okay, Dylan, you've always played point guard. They're going to start at shooting guard. Dylan, you've always been a guy who scored, hey, you scored 17 a game at Bellarmine, and this year, we're going to kind of see where you fit. And he just battled. He just grinded. It's not easy to come in. Like, think about when you get a new job, how often it takes for you to really feel comfortable. Dylan Penn didn't have, the 6 month or a year-long acclimation period. It was just the whole thing. Like, from day one, you have to be on it. And it took him a little bit, and he dealt with a broken hand in preseason. Took him a little bit to get going, but when he got going, he became the player we expected him to be. And I wish him luck moving forward. He is a guy who can play overseas, and we'll see if that's something that he wants to do. I don't know. I've only talked to Dylan Penn 1 or 2 times. The one time we had him on the show, and one time kind of at the court when I saw him. Never asked him if his goal is to play professionally. We'll find out, I'm sure, here in the coming weeks if that's something that he wants to do. I remind you to go and listen to the podcast afterwards, by the way, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. If you are the UVM men's basketball coaching staff, for me, this offseason, the recruiting pitch needs to be, we talked last week about every school having their recruiting niche. You just have to be able to find it. Well, to me, UVM's thing this offseason when they recruit needs to be, we want you to help us get over the hump. We want you to be a part of the team that wins a game in the tournament. We don't want to just get there, right? I think for a long time, and I don't know this, but if I'm UVM, for a long time, my recruiting pitch has been, you come here, you can get to the tournament. You come here, you can win in the conference, you can win the league title, and you can get to the tournament. For a long time, that's what I would probably have said. Now, it's not about getting to the tournament. We want to win in the tournament, and we want you to help us. That's got to be the recruiting pitch. No longer is it going to be good enough to just get there. Getting there is now an expectation. It's also now about winning there. And when you walk into a kid's living room and say, hey, we're going to the tournament, We need you to help us get over the top. That is a powerful motivator. That's a powerful motivator. You tell a kid in the living room with his family, hey, we're going, but we need you to be the difference maker against Florida State. We need you to be the difference maker against Purdue, against Arkansas, against Marquette. We need you to do that. We need your ability to be athletic. We need your ability to rebound. We need your ability to shoot. We need you to get us to the next level. It's not about just maintaining anymore. It's about pushing beyond. So if I am the men, that is my pitch. If I'm the women, I have a very different pitch. Assuming Elisa Kresge stays, if I am her and her staff this offseason, I am telling players, we need you to be the next wave. We need you to be the wave that helps us maintain, right? The men and the women are at a different level right now. The men are at that, let's get to the tournament every year and win it. The women are like, let's get back to the tournament. That's where they're at. And if I'm Elisa Kresge, I'm telling players, I'm telling recruits, I need you to be part of the next wave of talent. Because what you don't want at UVM is you don't want this year to become a one-off. You don't want this to be about one great class or two great classes. I have seen this at a lot of different places. A program gets one or two great classes. And then when those two great classes are seniors and juniors, you have great players, you have veteran leaders, you have players that have been through a lot, and then the program excels. And then when those seniors graduate and you'll get those juniors matriculating up, it's still pretty good. But then when they're gone, the whole thing is unable to be replicated. If you're Elisa Kresge, now it's about who can we get to replicate what we've done? Who can we bring in to replicate it? Who can be our next Emma Utterback? Who can be our next Delaney Richardson? Who can be our next Anna Olsen? Who can be our point guard after Catherine Gilby? Because this UVM women's program does not want this to be a one-off, oh, wow, it was a great flash in the pan. They want to get to what the men have now. So if you're trying to get kids to buy in, you're telling them, look, we've accomplished the goal. You can do that here. We've proven it. But we need you now to be the one that can help us get there year in and year out. And that's powerful for kids as well. That's powerful for kids as well. Dealing with a couple of interesting Twitter conversations here, or a couple of interesting responses to some comments I had on UVM. I'm going to bring that to the show tomorrow, but it is interesting stuff. Alex Abrami, the Burlington Free Press. I don't mean to tease you, but there's just not enough time to get into it. So good stuff here. I'll have to bring that to the show tomorrow. Tex says, TJ says, Brady, my apologies if you covered this. I missed the first part of the show. Are we sure that John Becker is coming back? Holy Cross and American look like great jobs. We've been waiting for years. I feel like we need to go out and recruit through the portal. Fifth-year seniors, get a good core if possible, and then grow again. Next year is going to be interesting. We did cover a lot of that. You can go find the podcast, but I'll give you the short version here. UVM needs to recruit through the portal. They've got four graduating starters. So the portal is how they're going to have to go out and replace us. They're not finding 4 freshman level starters in the, on the general or on the traditional recruiting trail this year. They've got to recruit for the portal. As for Becker, I'll just tell you what I've said all along. I have been told by some people that because of the Anthony Lamb rape allegations from a couple of years ago, that Becker is radioactive to other programs. I do not know if that is true. The people who have told me that are not necessarily on the inside. They're kind of on the peripheral, but they're not necessarily on the inside. So I don't know if that is true. These people have phrased it to be that he's radioactive everywhere but Vermont, so therefore he's going to be forced to stay. Is that true? Maybe. If it's not true, there are dominoes that are falling that I think Becker could get wrapped up in. ESPN did list Holy Cross as a possibility back on March 10th. I hadn't seen anything about American being linked to Becker, but just play the game, right? Ed Cooley leaves Providence for Georgetown. The Providence job is open. Could Becker get that? Maybe. If he can't get that, does somebody else get it and Becker backfills that program? I would say very likely that he could fit there, wherever that is. Rick Pitino leaves Iona today to go to St. John's. Okay, the St. John's job is filled. Is Becker good enough to coach in the MAC at Iona? Yes. Right? So that's possible. And then Notre Dame has a job open. Who's going to get hired there? And then what job is going to be open to backfill for that? So if Becker is on other teams' radars, it's fair to say there are jobs that are going to be out there that he could be in contention for. I don't know if he's going to stay. I believe that he's frustrated about the arena situation. And I believe he's frustrated about the lack of home games this year and by the slate of the non-conference schedule. But, I still think he could stay. But it's not a guarantee. And as for the women, Elisa Kresge, I think she's turned some heads this season as well. And I don't know what her long-term goal is or what jobs might be available on the women's front. That I don't have any idea of. So there's that. That's going to do it for us here on the afternoon news service. I feel like I've talked a ton today. We had no guest on this show, which is fine. I like no guest shows. Lee's out, so I did the midday news service alone. Then we had the afternoon news service. I'm going to need some hot tea today with a little bit of lemon and a little bit of honey. That's absolutely going to be on my docket for tonight. And then I get to do it all again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Although we do have Red Sox baseball coming up on Wednesday. So we are going to have Wednesday Red Sox baseball as kind of a test of the equipment here for spring training, Red Sox Braves. And then the regional semis on Thursday and Friday for UVM or for the NCAA tournament. So kind of some shorter shows coming later in the week, but tomorrow I'll be doing this whole 90-minute thing again. So there you go. Go download the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. And a lot of good discussion on UVM. And then I will tell you tomorrow what Alex Abrami and everyone is, what Alex Abrami and everyone are saying about me on Twitter and my thoughts on UVM. So we'll be back at it again in 24 hours or so. And we'll talk with Tom Brennan, the former Catamount Hoops coach. We'll have some fun with TB one more time this season. We'll ask him some questions that I have about the program, too. That's it for us. Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com.
This is WDEV.
That's the wrong button. This is the right one.
Hi, I'm Yvonne from DSECU, a credit union for everybody.